I'm Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about I went silent and they came back. So one of the things that we talk about on the channel all the time is no contact. Now, there are a lot of different people now that talk about no contact. However, I really think that the way they are preaching it is toxic and wrong in many situations. The way that we teach you guys no contact is simply not to reach out. So instead of looking at it as no contact, you look at it as no reaching out. See, if you hear the words contact, it gets you really anxious that if you have any kind of communication with that person, it's gonna hurt the chances of turning things around and repairing the relationship. Some people will tell you, don't have any contact with that person for 30 days. Even if they contact you, they say wait to that 30-day mark before you reply. I don't agree with that approach at all. You could have a window of opportunity with that person, and that window of opportunity could close if you don't reply to them in a reasonable amount of time. So if they reach out after day 10, and you believe you shouldn't reach out until day 30, that's 20 days where that person might give up or say, you know what, I don't want to do it, and they change their mind. Now, some other people believe that you shouldn't reply to your ex unless they say something significant. Now, the thing about that is that most people don't say something significant when they reach out. Because believe it or not, they are getting anxious, they're getting scared, and they are afraid of you rejecting them. So if you ignore somebody when they reach out to you, for example, let's say you haven't heard from them in 4 months, and they reach out with a hi there, or hey, how you doing? Or even something like, I miss the cat, which happens a lot, believe it or not. If they reach out with something like that, and then you don't reply because you're waiting for something that someone deems significant, well, they may not reach out again. They may feel like you're rejecting them, that you hate them. Believe it or not, if you hear from your ex and you don't reply to them, they're probably going to wonder if you hate them. Many people do. Because remember, they're in a sensitive place too, and their feelings are hurt easily too. Now, if they were cold and mean at the time of the breakup, you can't imagine that they would get to that place. But like I teach all the time, feelings change. Feelings change like the clouds that move across the sky. And so if you ignore them and are waiting for them to reach out again, they may not reach out again. So you're taking a risk. So let's say they reach out with something like, I miss the cat, an indirect direct approach that I call it. And if you're wondering what that is, an indirect direct approach is when somebody directly messages you, but they're indirect in their approach in what they want. In other words, they might really miss you and they're dipping the toe in the pool to contact you, but they're going to make it look like they miss the cat, or they need a favor, or they've got to, contact you about a bill. And a lot of those times you're like, wait a minute, they don't even really need me for this. And it's that they don't need you for that particular thing. It's just that they miss you and they want to reconnect with you. They're making a bid to connect with you. So this is why it's important that you don't ignore your ex. Okay, now I'm not telling you to have someone continually breadcrumb you and they're reaching out to you all the time. That's a different situation. I don't want people to be breadcrumbed. But when you haven't heard from your ex in a long time, I don't want you to ignore it. Now, So many of you get so anxious about no contact and the idea of no contact that you even take it too far, that when your ex reaches out or makes a bid to connect with you, you kind of shut down in panic and you don't know what to do. And if you do that, then they can get weirded out or turned off, or it just doesn't feel right. So yes, we do want your ex to be the one to reach out, at least from a general standpoint. Obviously, we can get into specifics for each situation because every situation is different. But generally, we tell you not to reach out and to let them be the one to contact you. But when they do contact you, that's when you've got to be acting in an attractive way, a confident way, so you can rebuild the connection again. And I think I'm going to film another video where I get into specifics of a situation where that happened. But going silent is really the most powerful thing that you can do. You're not trying to change someone's mind. You're not trying to manipulate them. You're not saying and doing things that try and alters their decision. Because the more you try and do it, the more they're going to likely shut down and get cold and angry at you for trying that. So that's why we say that you really just want to leave them alone, and in that silence, let them think about you. And believe me, they will. Even the exes that say they're never going to come back, even the ones that are ice cold and mean and you think you're never going to hear from them again, in time, those feelings can change. But you can't have any weak moments. Okay, this is very important. Many of you guys will be in no contact for a few months, have a weak moment, reach out. Go back into no contact. Reach out a couple months later. That's not no contact, okay? Those weak moments are the things that make the difference between people that get their ex back and people that don't. Unfortunately, simple mistakes like that can really blow a situation. Got to be very careful with alcohol. Many of you guys have a couple drinks, panic, reach out. I had a guy recently, the girlfriend had a tornado in her area, panicked, reached out. Little things like that. Don't use any excuse to reach out to them. Don't reach out to them for any reason. Okay, now yes, there are some situations where you might have to do it for something business related, like a bill or something like that. And even in those situations, I'm wary about telling you guys to reach out, because if you're honest with yourself, you're probably just making an excuse to do it. But silence does work. It is very powerful. It hits them on a deep biological level. And I have been talking about this since I launched the channel almost a decade ago. That silence and no contact really allows them to miss you and realize who you were in their life. If you were a good partner and you were loving and caring and attentive and emotionally attuned to them, it makes it very hard for them to let go of you. And even if you weren't a great partner, believe it or not, bonds are very strong. Our connections are very strong. And I've had people come back after 50 years. Now, I'm not telling you to wait 50 years by any means. The point is that bonds are strong and can last a lifetime. So don't be surprised when no contact and your silent works for you. I know you think it won't. Believe me, I've been there. You think my ex is never going to be the one that reaches out. I'm the person that will never hear from my ex. But I'm telling you, you gotta leave them alone. Please, avoid those weak moments of reaching out at all cost. And you will see that is far more powerful than anything you could possibly say or do to change their mind. If I thought it would work, I would tell you to do it. I do this every day. There is a big demand to talk with me, guys. I hear breakups all day, every day, for many years. Okay? And there is a reason that people come back and work with me again and again and again for years, because they love what we do, they love our approach, and we are ourselves. We are authentic with you on the calls. And you can see the comments from the people that do coachings with us, because we know what it's like to be in your situation. So if you're struggling in your breakup, I'd rather you reach out and do a coaching with us if you have doubts about no contact and how to handle your situation than reaching out and making a mistake and regretting it, okay? So I got an email coaching today. This is actually the second email coaching I did with this woman who's in her early 50s, and her ex is in her mid 30s. Now, we did the coaching in January of 2023. They said, I wrote to you back in January of 2023 when I broke up with my ex. We'd been together since 2016 and migrated to Australia in 2019. I supported her financially and sponsored her visa for the migration to Australia at that time. We lived together for a total of 6 years. 3 years in another country before we went to Australia. Before our breakup in June of 2022. Okay, so this breakup was about 2 years ago. Okay, and we're going to see that her ex has some mixed messages here. So what's going on with this ex? Very quickly in July of 2022, she told me she was in another relationship. She told me she had lost herself, especially after she lost her father, who passed away a few months before our breakup. And what do we tell you guys? Losing a parent often causes a depression, and depression often causes breakups. She needed to find herself. They knew each other through social media. Oh, okay. So, this other woman that she met was someone she knew on social media. I was shocked and acted out of character to know that she got emotionally connected with another person so fast. Yeah, it's really surprising when somebody does it. It really hurts. It's like, how can you replace me with someone else? But we have somebody that is grieving, no doubt. You lost your dad, and the breakup is what, 2 months later? And then she finds someone else another month later? This tells me it had a lot to do with grief. I told her I couldn't bear to look at her face and said hurtful things to her. Yeah, you got to be careful with saying those mean, hurtful things. If you haven't said them, be very, very careful not to do it. If you've already made those mistakes, unfortunately, you can't go back and change it, but you got to do your best not to do them again. She has since moved out, but insisted that we remain friends. As I was hurt still at that time, I went into no contact, unfollowed her, and blocked her on social media. Okay, so she was really hurt. We don't recommend you guys to block somebody. There are situations that you can, and you can consider it, but we want you to look confident, and you look less confident when you're blocking somebody. At least in most situations. My last email to her was sometime in February of 2023, where I asked her to pay me back the money that I spent bringing her to Australia, as I had felt angry and betrayed at the time. Since then, she went silent. Okay, there's that silence we always talk about. She reached out, she was hurt, she was angry, and now there's silence. However, as I know from common friends, they have been in a long-distance relationship since then. The girl still lives in another country and my ex in Australia, but they traveled to meet each other, while I learned to move on slowly by myself. Yeah, you are doing it the right way, okay? Working on yourself, growing and healing. You know, I can't remember if she's doing the creative healing course or the workbooks, but, you know, that's the healthy thing to do. That puts you in the position to be successful. After so long and out of the blue, I received an email from my ex in July of 2024. Almost a year and a half of no contact. You see that, guys? You think your ex is never going to reach out, you're never going to hear from them again, and boom, out of nowhere, a year and a half later, they reach out. Now, I'm not telling you to put your life on hold for a year and a half. As soon as I say things like that, people are like, you shouldn't wait that long. I'm not telling you to. The point is that a lot of times when you let go, when you move forward, people do come back into your life. So sometimes it's just timing. Okay, so she attached the emails for me to read, and I'm not going to read them because that would be a little too specific for the situation. But it was a lot of mixed messages, okay? She definitely wasn't clear in her approach. She said, "It was totally unexpected," and I replied subsequently. I was confused on what she wanted and tried to clarify with her, but she went silent again after my last email. I have no experience to understand her intention of emailing me for so long. I need your advice on what you think her intention was in writing this email. Sydney is the city we both visited when we came to Australia. I reckon she went back there and the memories led her to reaching out to me. How should I approach this with an open heart to find out what does she really want from here? It seems to me that she pointed back to my email asking her to pay me back, but instead of making arrangements to do so, indicated that she put me as a beneficiary on her superannuation. Annuation? Okay, we don't have that here in the States as far as I know of. But I looked it up and it sounds like that's something you do at retirement. So she's basically saying in these emails, I can't afford to pay you back, but if anything ever happens to me, I want you to get this money. And she even said in the emails, all my friends and family know about this situation, so they're on board with it. They know that money goes to you if something happens to me. Does this mean she doesn't want to see me again and rather compensate me in this way to lessen her guilt for bringing me to Australia? Okay. No, I don't think it's necessarily that she doesn't want to see you again. I don't think she's there yet. Based on the emails that she sent, they were very, very vague still. It sounds like she's avoidant. It sounds like the idea of repairing this isn't there yet, but there were a lot of nice things implied in the emails about how kind she was and how she had nothing but positive memories of her. And, you know, we know she's in this other relationship, or at least we assume she's in it. We don't know how it's going. So maybe it's not going well. Maybe it's falling apart. It's hard to say what's going on there. But one thing is for sure, she has a lot of positive memories of you. And I think on some level, she's trying to say that she misses you. And she really values who you were and how you showed up in her life. So now she's kind of disappeared again. The questions that she had asked her were pretty direct. And being that she's avoidant, I think those direct questions kind of scared the other woman and made her back off. And so give her some time. I think you're going to hear from her again. But I just don't think she's in that place to try and repair this yet. And I can see that she still wants to really repair it with her ex. And it's understandable. But, you know, you can't force it. Just go back into not reaching out to her. And I think you'll hear from her again. You know, obviously the breakup was a while ago. So, you know, I hope you're growing and you're working on yourself and you're open to dating other people and, you know, living your life that you're willing to date somebody else, or if you're actively dating, I'm not sure. But that would be good for you at this point, you know. After 2 years, I think you should be out and having fun and trying to meet new people and see if you bond and connect with somebody else that would be a good partner for you. But silence does work. Leaving someone alone does work. It's very powerful because our bonds are very powerful. And when we feel disconnected, we feel the need to reconnect with them. She didn't have to reach out to her or at least do some in this manner. But because there was so much kindness and authenticity in her reflecting and talking about their past, it tells me that she's thinking about her more than just this financial situation, but I don't think she's ready to repair it yet. So leave her alone and see what happens in the future. In the meantime, live your life, keep growing, keep doing things that make you happy, and get to a good place within yourself. So hopefully this has been helpful to you. Of course, if you want to get my help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. You can get my creative healing course and my workbooks only on my website. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and I will talk with you soon.